Good morning, Jonesboro. It is Wednesday, November 23rd. I don't know about you, but I've been looking forward to this day. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has big plans to spend with their family and friends. But until then, we're going to go on with the show. You are tuned into Community Conversations on 102.5 FM. And my very special guest today is Miss Tracy Morrison from Arkansas State University. Good morning.
Good morning.
So thank you so much for joining us today. And we have been having a really great chat off air, but I'm going to let her tell her story because she's going to give me all the details. I want to know a little bit more about you, and I want the listeners and viewers to know more about you. Before we get started, I do want to say the phone number to call in is 870-277-1080. You can also watch us live on Facebook and YouTube, so I hope you stay tuned for the whole show. So Miss Tracy, please tell the listeners and viewers a little more about your background, where you come from. How did you get to Arkansas if you're not a native of Arkansas? I'm interested to hear the story.
Well, I'm from a military family, so I was born overseas, and then my parents moved to West Plains, Missouri, which is about 80 miles up the road from here, and I grew up in West Plains. I have lived in Minneapolis for the last over a decade now, and I was itching for a challenge when
I'm sorry, we have a phone call.
Oh.
Good morning, caller. Who is this? Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Oh goodness. Hello, caller. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a bad connection. Caller, please call back again if you can. I'm sorry, we had a really bad connection. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So I was in Minneapolis, and Arkansas State was looking to start an occupational therapy program, which is something that I was able to do. And it's difficult to find chairs in occupational therapy.
Okay.
They're far and few between. The reason why is because they have to have it's the accreditation standards make it a little bit more difficult. Arkansas State was really in need of finding one, and when I learned that they were sort of down to the wire in terms of finding one, I felt interested in coming, and I came to visit, and I met one individual who wanted to start the program. She was from around this area, and she knew a whole bunch of other people who wanted to start it, and it reminded me about where I came from.
Okay.
And I realized that I could make a difference in a positive way if I took the gamble, and like I said, I was sort of in a place in my life where I felt like I was ready to really dig in on something, and I just kind of thought a lot about it, and eventually made the decision that it would probably be worth all the risks of changing my life.
Okay, so I want to back up a little. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try this one more time. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Who is this?
This is KLEK 102.5 FM. Who are you?
Okay. Are you where are you in Thayer?
Ma'am?
Are you located in Thayer, Missouri?
No, we're in Jonesboro, Arkansas. You're live on the air. Were you trying to?
Okay.
Were you calling?
Oh, I see.
Were you calling in for someone?
I just wondered how we could access your program on Facebook. What is your Facebook address?
It's KLEK 102.5 FM. But if you start typing in KLEK, the Facebook page will pop up.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great day. Okay. Well, look forward to seeing how many people are out there watching. You can leave comments on our Facebook page. I'll try to check them. I'm trying to multitask here.
I should have done my hair.
You're okay. I love that gorgeous color. So
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to backtrack. When you said that Arkansas State was looking to starting an occupational therapy program, that makes me wonder, okay, Arkansas State has been around for years. And so they were just now, how long has this program actually been in existence?
We are, let's see, came and we had a stapler. That's about it. It's been a real adventure in terms of getting started, and everything had to be put together because we ended up we were approved to start in August, and I came in the winter prior to August. So it was fast moving and has been ever since from the get-go. But it's been, I love what I do. I love my profession, and I've been in academics for quite a while, and so I was able to, sort of move. One of the biggest things I've learned to do is just to roll with the punches, really.
Okay. And I want to get into what occupational therapy is, but I'm just kind of wondering, what took them so long? What took Arkansas State so long to get this type of program going?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think it's Arkansas. There was there's one other program in the whole state for occupational therapy, and that has actually been something that I can definitely see in terms of a difference coming from other states.
Okay.
Most other states have 3 or 4 programs, and we have a very, very small number of occupational therapists in the state. And that, there's a cultural identity that's kind of missing if you have just a few individuals. So a lot of people in the state really don't understand the profession at all.
And I must admit, and sadly, I am one of those.
No, you wouldn't.
So let's go ahead and get right into what is occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy is literally about doing what you love to do. And so it started out in psychiatry and psychology, and in the neurosciences, so the brain sciences. And the concept of occupational therapy is we all have 24 hours a day, and how we spend those 24 hours are either make life worth living or life really difficult. And the concept of occupational therapy is about helping an individual realize and regain their ability to do what they really love to do. So what's a favorite thing that you love to do?
I personally love to sew, and I do nails. I'm a licensed nail tech as well.
You do have lovely nails. I could use that right about now. Okay, so if I was meeting you and say the community right now, tomorrow, today, and you told me that you were feeling like you were having trouble balancing things in your life, I would find out right away what you love, and you would tell me that you love to sew. And I actually met someone yesterday who said the same thing. And I would know that depending on where you were in your life, making sure that you were able to sew would be an absolute. And if you had, say you had a disability, say you had a stroke, it would be my first priority to make sure that you could get back to sewing, and that your nails were cared for, and that you could do others' nails, and then the rest would follow. So the premise of occupational therapy is that if you find what someone loves to do, their health will follow. And most people have no idea what they love to do. So occupational therapy is about how you occupy your time in 24 hours.
You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Ms. Tracy Morrison of Arkansas State University, who is the chair of the Occupational Therapy Department. So again, if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to call in. The phone lines are open. 870-277-1080, or you can catch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so this is a really interesting
it's a
field.
Cool. It is because you have to, first off, you have to understand the basic psychology of a human being.
Okay.
So most of the people who apply to our doctorate program, we have a doctorate program and we have an OT assistant program, they have a background in either psychology or sociology. So they understand how a person feels can affect their health and wellness.
Wow, you just kind of sparked something in me. I am actually starting back going to school in January, finishing my degree in sociology.
Good.
So this might be an interesting field for me to look into because I was leaning more towards social work. But the more you talk about occupational therapy, I love studying how the brain works, why people do what human behavior basically.
Yeah.
Why people do what they do, and then helping them to be a better version of themselves if they have fallen short somewhere.
Yeah, so we actually, in occupational therapy, we have an intervention called the lifestyle redesign.
Okay.
It's one of the only evidence-based randomized control trials that proves to help an individual feel better and be more productive. And we literally go through, when you wake up, what do you do?
Okay.
Then what do you do? Then what do you do? And what we find is if we can go through that 24 hours with someone, we will find a path will tell us what motivates them. And then we have to figure out how to get them back. So we do have to know how to strengthen the body. We do have to know how to adapt the activity, but we also have to know how to, sort of find the just right challenge for the individual.
Okay. And so what, you didn't really get into what your educational background is, but what made you decide, what courses did you take to lead up to now, and what made you decide to go full force into this field?
When I was an undergraduate, I was your traditional pre-med student who was sort of at the top of the pack. And thinking medical school, I was raised to do that. I'm from the rural Missouri where you either go, you don't know about all these different professions, and that's difficult because you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
And I got ill. I became ill with a systemic condition. And it really bothered me. I had never had a health issue in college, and suddenly, I got a staph infection that kind of damaged my skin, and it was very upsetting for me. And I worked with an occupational therapist who was actually doing sort of wound care for me, but she really enabled me to get over my self-judgment, and my self-loathing. And I didn't want to go to medical school after that. So my mother, God bless her, is an academic, and my parents were smart enough to realize that, they had someone at the end of their college career who was getting kind of the heebie-jeebies. And they said, look, we're gonna help you send these applications to Washington University, which is and the very day I went there, the chairman of the program, who's very well known nationally, I studied at that point in my life individuals who had a stroke, and I was believe that most of these people didn't even get rehabilitation, and they just the fact that they had a small stroke, it was that they weren't who they used to be in their mind, and that knowledge is what kind of kept them from ever leaving their homes. And once they would refuse to leave their homes, they got worse.
Oh, wow. I'm just so intrigued right now. my mother suffered from a stroke, and like you said, most people, the people you dealt with, they didn't get any type of therapy.
Yeah.
We lived in a rural area, and she didn't get therapy. Like, she had a home health nurse come in, take care of some of the basic needs, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to ask for. I was only 14, so my hands were tied, kind of like, okay, what to do. So I would help get her dressed in the mornings, and she would basically sit all day and wait till I get home from school. And so I'm happy. I'm just like overwhelmed right now.
And see, I see that as a system failure, because that's not, first off, you were 14 years old and you did the best you could, but that hurt you too, so your mother, her condition, which honestly, I've never in my life worked with a client or a patient who wasn't able to recover and get back to life. I've never met a person who was so awful they had no potential ever.
Okay.
And most of the people I've met, I'll give you an example. One of my clients at WashU had literally had a large portion of his brain removed because he was in a traumatic injury.
Oh, wow.
And he was a water polo player. And he was just vile at first, but over time, well, first off, we realized that we needed to put him back in the water.
Okay.
Second off, we realized that we needed to do all of the therapy around water polo.
Okay.
And he couldn't speak anymore because of the injury.
Okay.
And what we found is that with consistent work, he actually was able to use sign and communicate, and he became a decent human being. And the thing is that I really believe that a lot of for instance, my program, each one of my students has 120 hours per student that can be spent either in a clinic or out in the community. And I decided that 120 hours per student, and I have at full matriculation, 90 students.
Okay.
That's a lot of manpower. And what I decided was that I could be the windmill and my students would be the wind, and the outlet was the community. And so right now we go to the home of your mother and we see her 2 or 3 times a week. And after I leave here today, I'm going out to Paragould to spend time with a woman who is basically kind of like your mom.
Okay.
She hasn't left her house in a couple of years. She's just, church used to be her thing. She's not going to church. It's just a domino effect. And I know that I can get time to work for her. But right now, her hour is like 7 days to us. That's not living.
No, ma'am.
And so my job is to flip the equation to where a person is enjoying life so much, they don't have enough time. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I am really intrigued by this conversation. We're going to get ready to go to break. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Tracy Morrison of Arkansas State University, the chair of the Occupational Therapy Department. I hope that you have been enjoying this conversation so far, because we're going to get into even more information to find out what exactly they are doing in the community, how they are serving the people, not just Jonesboro, but surrounding areas, and what all is to come from Arkansas State under the Occupational Therapy Program. So, oh my goodness, you're really inspiring me. I won't change my major this late in the game, but when I get ready to get my master's, I might be looking into occupational therapy.
Well, we would love to have you.
All right, so stay tuned and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
What's holding you back from forgiving your spouse? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Marriage is messy. When two imperfect people come together, there are bound to be mistakes made and feelings hurt. So when your spouse does something wrong and apologizes, how can you move towards accepting their apology and letting it go? Here are 5 steps to forgiveness in marriage. First, understand that forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. If you wait until you feel ready to forgive your spouse, then you will live in hurt and anger for a long time. Second, share your hurt. It may be uncomfortable, but it's important to honestly communicate with your spouse so you can work through the situation together. Remember, your family first.
For more resources on today's topic, go to markmerrill.com.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook.
Did you know KLEK has a brand new streaming app? That's right, you can listen to KLEK 102.5 FM anywhere in the world. The app is available for all Android phones and tablets, as well as iPhones and iPads. Just search your app store for KLEK and download the KLEK app for free today. And don't miss a beat of the education, entertainment, and empowerment on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Okay, I'm sorry for the dead air. We're back from our break. We had a call in between, so I'm sorry those of you on air listening to the radio could not hear, but hopefully those that are watching the Facebook live stream could hear the phone call from Miss Molly Gibson. She is one of your students?
Yeah, she's in our doctorate program.
She's one of Tracy's students of the doctorate program. So should I call you Dr. Tracy? Okay.
Oh no, call me Tracy, please. No.
Okay. So Molly was just sharing her experience, how she loves the program and the population that she works with. She's working with the elderly population, and she is truly loving and enjoying it, and she's still trying to find her way, but she thinks this is where she's gonna end up after graduation. So thank you, Molly, for calling in. Okay, so I want to get right back into our conversation. You have been sharing a wealth of information, but those of you who are just tuning in, I'm sorry you listened to Community Conversations. Had a little spiel coming back into the show. Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we're talking with Ms. Tracy Morrison of Arkansas State University. She is the chair of the occupational therapy program there on campus, which has only been around for about 2 years or 24 months. Same thing. Yeah. Sorry. And we talked earlier about how we got started, and now we're going to talk about the future of the program, some community service, and just, I don't know, whatever else Ms. Tracy wants to hit on. I'm just really intrigued right now.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, we the obstacles, the things that we thought, excuse me, I've got to take a drink of water here.
No problem.
Would be obstacles, really haven't been. There's a 3-year accreditation process.
3-year accreditation, okay.
And for a doctorate program, for the OT assistant program, it's a 1-year, thank you. And we already got that done. The OT doctorate program, we're actually, it's been great. The accreditation process has not been difficult at all. Okay. Normally it is. But it turns out I'm geekishly obsessed with curriculum. Okay. And so I just had a ball, you know, putting it together and working on it, and our accreditation panel appreciated that. And so the curriculum is very much built on community service.
That's wonderful.
And while it's kind of a necessity, we don't have many options for our students to go and learn and participate in OT like we really want them to.
Okay.
Most of our clinical partners are nurses.
Okay.
They're directors, they're administrators. We're really focused on how to measure outcomes that demonstrate success.
Okay.
And so the doctorate students in my program have to know how to run statistics, how to measure. Don't worry, you looked fearful. Listen, if my students were here, they would be laughing because they all look the same way. And we start from ground zero. Like,
okay.
This is the number 1, this is the number 0. What does that mean? But by they're in their 5th semester now. They're getting ready to start their 5th semester, and I got them through. And I taught them on Excel, which is free. I bet you I could teach you after this program in about 5 minutes. That's the thing that really gets to me is that most human beings have the capacity to be an instrument of good for another, but we make it seem so difficult. It's so layered. And, I had a student the other day say to me, well, I want to, address poverty in a different country. And I said, listen, if you can walk down the street and cross the street and help the family down the street that's impoverished, I will listen to you and we will raise money for you to go to this other country. But until you do that, I want to hear it. And so a lot of it is about actually enabling the learner to realize they have the ability to change for a positive the state of another's health in the role of an OT.
Wow.
And the tools, if you can learn, I can teach you. And that's what, this first doctorate class, they took a gamble on me too.
Okay.
Here they started out with us. I barely had a faculty. And, I'm doing, everything under the sun, you can imagine. And I definitely will make mistakes. There's no doubt. But the thing about me is I'm the type of person that if you give me a sword and a horse, I'm gonna cut some ground for you.
Okay.
And my students will laugh and say, well, a head may accidentally roll, but we'll paste it back on. And so, I'm that type of person who's just gonna do it. And so the future of the program, I would like to see it be kind of stabilize out. We've gotten some excellent faculty.
Okay.
We're kind of bringing them up, pulling them in. Super fortunate in that. We are developing collaborations with community stakeholders who actually want health and wellness in the community.
That's wonderful.
And we're being, we're carefully selecting our clinical partners.
Okay.
Because OT isn't well known in this area, when you don't have a profession that isn't well represented, people, do a lot of what maybe OT would be doing in another state or is reimbursed to do. Okay. So there's a lot, I call it scope scoot. Oh. So there's a lot of scope scoot in terms of who does what and who cares for the person.
Okay.
And I think that there's opportunity to help the community of Jonesboro and the neighboring areas to look at this resource, these amazing young professionals who are coming out, who are trained in health and wellness and to measure change and to show change to third-party payers. These people are, going to be ready to be employed in 2018 in the fall. And that right now is where I'm focused. So I know I have my learners ready.
Okay.
Now I have to get the community ready.
Okay. You're tuning into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Miss Tracy Morrison of Arkansas State University. She's the chair of the Occupational Therapy department. I feel like I'm getting tongue-tied by saying it over and over, but we just want to make sure to let the listeners and viewers know who we're talking with. And of course, you can call in if you have any questions or comments, 870-277-1080. And so I feel like we need to kind of go back again a little bit, double back, because I want you to please explain the difference between the different types of therapies.
Sure.
People hear physical therapy, they hear occupational, they hear therapy, the word therapy in essence is to fix, or I guess fix something. I don't know if I'm using the right term, but fix something. So please kind of explain the differences and maybe even how they might all correlate.
Yeah, so I've been in Minnesota for over a decade, and prior to my coming here, I was actually in a big corporate healthcare setting where the professions did, sort of work together to support the whole person, the whole human being.
Okay.
Occupational therapy focuses on helping the individual help themselves.
Okay.
So I guess in the case of your mother, if you were living in a rural area, and she had a stroke, the first thing an OT would be focused on is depression. How can we help her feel better? And probably her primary concern would have been her child. Just time passing with she was waiting for you, to come home, and also her child, how that is affecting the child. And so as an OT, I would want to be like visiting with you all several times a week, helping you and your mom get what you needed resource-wise to care for one another. And that would be a connection for your mom. In a rural area, transportation is a really big issue.
Yes, ma'am.
So what could I do? And you have no idea, this is like an ongoing issue for me. What can I do I see clients right now. What can I do for those individuals to help them get out of Minern to come in and actually socialize and go to dinner? Because they're staying at home. And just because you're at home doesn't mean you're well.
That's right.
And so an OT is going to focus on the socialization, the engagement. How can I help you feel alive again? What does that look like? What is it going to take? Physical therapy would focus on, if you're, say, an individual had a stroke, strengthening the muscle.
Okay.
So they focus on actually, like you said, the therapy of the muscular system.
Okay.
Occupational therapy focuses more on the whole person using time in a way that is productive and meaningful to them.
Okay.
And social work tends to focus on developing financial options. So in the case of an individual who's had a stroke and is living in a rural area, I would have expected social work to provided the family with transportation options, with options for funding, all of those sort of resource options. But I also understand that may not have happened, and that I will have to do that. And so you can see how, which we do a lot of, is sort of making sure the client that we're seeing is getting the resource that they need.
Okay. And the more you're talking, the more I think about other people that I've come in contact with that have, I'm not gonna say they lost their quality of life, but they've kind of fallen short in some areas, and their quality of life is not where it once was.
Yes.
Due to personal injury that has happened. Yes, it affects people physically, but it really takes a mental, emotional, psychological toll on that person as well. And like you said, they stop doing certain things that they love, or certain things that made them happy, and certain things that kept them physically active. They stop doing those things, and so the mind starts to...
It's really hard. This is what I told an individual literally yesterday. So I'm so kind of passionate about this, and especially in rural areas where, it's not, in Minnesota, you could jump a metro and get to the museum or a restaurant. Not so here. And so I told a lady the other day, just yesterday, I said, if you can tell me with 100% certainty that you know who you are tomorrow, literally, you're 100% certain that you know who you are tomorrow, then I'm going to tell you that you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay.
And if you can't do that, then I'm going to tell you that it is your mind limiting you from experiencing joy.
Wow.
And that you have to trust me to help you take that risk. Okay. I have one client who, I don't know, it happens a lot. She started walking. She's an older adult. Okay. And for whatever reason, she started competing with herself on her walks. Well, now this happens all the time. Okay. 5-6 months later, she hates walking. Why? Because it's never good enough. She's competing with who she, her best walk 4 days ago. And now this activity that gave her joy is punishing her. So I go to see her and she's telling me, and at first I'm listening to her because we use something called motivational interviewing when we first meet our client. And I'm listening to her and she keeps bringing up walking in church. And she's not going to church and she's not walking, but she keeps bringing it up. And then I realized that she had put herself on a punishing schedule. So she was literally using these activities that she valued and loved to kind of keep track of if she was worthy or not. So you know what I did? I said, you're not walking. You are not to walk until we figure this out, because right now you're taking this activity that you used to enjoy and you dread it every day. And let's figure out a different, so it's teaching her that your mind can be your enemy or it can be your friend. And really it's about using, sort of staying in front of what is anxious thoughts versus thoughts that are constructive to helping you be the best that you can be. Okay. So it's really mind discipline in some ways.
Oh, wow. Alrighty, you're tuning into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Tracy Morrison. She's the chair of the Occupational Therapy Department at Arkansas State University. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call, or you can watch us live on Facebook and leave a comment. Leave a comment on our Facebook live stream, and I'm going to go check that out. I want Miss Morrison to please get into now talking about the phone number. I'm sorry, 870-277-1080. I'm so sorry, I had too many thoughts going on at one time. Okay, please go into now the community service aspect of what you are trying to do, what you are doing, and what you hope to do in the future. Like, how do you hope to grow the department?
Yeah. Well, in terms of attracting individuals who qualify for faculty in occupational therapy, I really believe that developing what I call a platform of excellence for occupational therapy will attract those people. And right now we're building that. And so I'm fortunate to have colleagues, faculty who share my vision and are on board. So I'm going to just give you kind of something interesting. Let's say you're a mother and you have a child who is having trouble. It could be social at school. It could be a disability, learning, physical, you name it. The child's having trouble. And let's put that child in elementary school, okay? All right, I call elementary school the war zone. Okay. Recess and lunch, it all goes down, right? Like, that's where people start learning how to win some serious battles, And so why is it then that, the therapy is not done during recess and lunch? I mean, you're not getting to see the child in their natural state. I am very interested in what it looks like to provide care for individuals during their living hours, which means when mom is finishing up work, she gets to watch her son or daughter be involved in something that is therapeutic for them, and she even gets to join and be a part. Okay. And so one of the things I'm doing now is I'm doing a parent-child service that allows after the mama gets off work or the dad gets off work, they can actually come in and have a healthy meal, work out with their child, and focus on their weekly goals as a family. Okay. And it's going gangbuster. And that's just one facet, but it gives you an idea of we're really interested in the weekends.
Okay.
So the times during, unless you have a family that is super tight and connected and you're all getting together on the weekends and having a great time, you may feel alone on a weekend, especially Sundays. We're really interested in what does it look like to have a community-based service for health and wellness that addresses, therapeutic needs on weekends. And what could we do to really support the whole family in experiencing health and wellness? And, how can we as a faculty leverage our skills to teach our learners just excellent, OT, excellent service during, these times when, other services aren't operating. And so we're really interested in the living hours, and I would wager, if you think about your mother and you, it probably was the weekends that were difficult, and it probably was the evening hours and the morning hours, those are the times that, the system, sort of the school system, isn't working, for you as a 14-year-old or your mom, or the healthcare providers aren't there to visit. And so we're really interested in what it means to support an individual during their living hours that are out of a system. They're not in the system. Okay. And that's kind of where we're going.
Okay. Alrighty. We're going to get ready to take another break.
Sure.
This time seems to be going really fast. But I do want to give a shout out to Jessie Dale Bricker. Blessed to be a part of this faculty. We are so proud of our A-State, OTA, and OTD students. Thank you for watching, Jessie. You're tuning to Community Conversation on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we'll be right back after this break.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Today we're talking about the money martyr. If this is you, you just don't know how to say no to family and friends who have come to recognize you as their personal banker and emergency fund. You lend without demanding repayment. You always pick up the tab, and you always pay for gas. You even commit one of the cardinal sins of money management. You co-sign on people's loans. While your intentions may be good, you are probably doing damage in two important ways. First, you are likely hurting your own credit, creating debt and depleting your savings to be the family ATM. Second, you are creating a culture of dependency among the people you care about, making them increasingly less willing and able to take care of themselves. Never put the needs of others ahead of your own financial obligations and goals. Put a specific amount and never ever give beyond that amount. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Tax Time is here at Car Today, the original buy here, pay here dealer. New Car Today General Manager Sean Corns.
With new inventory available daily, whatever you're looking for, we've got it.
Located on Stadium Boulevard just south of the 63 bypass, Tax Time is the time to drive at Car Today. Car Today.
Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers of Fullness of Joy Church, 3307 Race Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, A-State Care presents After School Tutoring in the Community. Available Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 o'clock p.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. through December 6, 2016. Subjects that will be taught will be language arts, writing, reading comprehension, mathematics, science, geography, social studies, and history. The address is 911 Magnolia Road in Jonesboro, Arkansas. KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to the last leg of the show. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host. I never introduced myself earlier, Quabila Harden, and my special guest, Ms. Tracy Morrison. She is the chair of the Arkansas State University's Occupational Therapy Program. And I must say it's been a blessing and an honor to have you here today. I was so headstrong on social work, getting a master's, and now I'm really thinking occupational therapy is where I want to be. Just listening to you talk and the things that the program encompasses, it falls right in line to what I try to do on an everyday basis. Unlike Molly likes the elderly, I prefer the adolescent, 12 to 18 age range, and particularly young girl, the female population, because as a teenager, some of the things that I faced growing up and how I've overcome and where I am now, I feel that I can lend my experience to that age group now to help them see, okay, you don't have to be what society says you are. You can rise above no matter where you live, where you're from, what type of family you come from. You can still rise above and excel beyond measure. So I'm leaning towards the adolescent population.
We actually have right now a program in our department that is focused solely on adolescents. Okay. And both young women and young men. They have separate issues. And also, we're looking at sort of sociocultural factors that, need to, be in place to help support a child. And an adolescent is, let's call them in the amoeba stage of human development. They're coming, my mother says they come out of the tube, you're no idea how, though. They go in one way, who knows how they're coming out. And so that's right. We actually are very interested in personhood. What does it mean to help a young adolescent feel a sense of personhood? And there are certain secret sauces that we have. One, I'll just tell you, is we get our participants little shuffles with their own headphone sets, and we load books and music on for them that the parent approves, and then we talk about, so we being the team that, because usually I have 2 graduate students plus a faculty to every person we serve, and we incorporate health and wellness, so they have to, sort of part of the bargain is if they're going to be in our program, they have to learn physical fitness. Okay. And so we join them in that. So we work out with them. And then we have sort of the audiobook time where we talk about what they're doing, what they're learning, and also we teach them how to set goals. What does it mean to have goals? What does it mean to sometimes let a goal go or, really scope in on a goal?
Wow.
Yeah, tenacity, grit. That is, if you can teach an adolescent that, you are giving them a gift for a lifetime.
I see where I need to step. I might need a therapist myself. Grit goes a long way. Oh my goodness. Wow. I know your students are truly blessed to have you as a chair and your faculty and staff. I can't wait to get to meet more, and I would love to have you back as a regular guest, you know, to talk more about the program every so many months, and maybe bring some students on, because I would love for the community to get to know
OT.
More about the program, and really get a hands-on feel from the student's perspective as well, because that's where you get the real information from people who are actually out there doing the job. Any students that are willing, you know, after the Christmas break, we would love to have them on to talk about their experiences so far.
That would be great. We've got just it's a very special thing when you, because you think about coming into a state where there's only one OT program and very few OTs. And the perspective I have is a national perspective. I'm really involved with our national profession, and I have a lot to do with getting reimbursements for the profession. And so I'm coming in with a different perspective, and my students are joining me in that. They're all pretty amazing.
That is wonderful.
They'd love to come talk.
And you talked a little bit earlier about, some of the different types of facilities or areas you may see an occupational therapist, but can you just highlight again where one can find, what type of setting can they find an occupational therapist?
Well, you can always email our department or call our department. My email address is mmorrison@astate.edu.
Okay.
At least there you would get the advocacy to get connected to the proper, therapy setting.
Okay.
And so, but OT is across the lifespan. It can be, birth all the way to the end of life. We just spent time with a woman in hospice it was our goal to help her pass in a way that she wanted to, with the music she wanted and all of that, and we were with her. So we really do the full lifespan. It's hard to find OT services in this area, but my department can certainly help.
And what is the phone number to your department?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. It's 972. I'm gonna have to look that up myself. You would think that I would know it, but you can see I'm kind of looking around here. I'll have to pull out one of my cards.
Oh, well, is it on the Arkansas State University's webpage?
Yeah, you would have to go to A-State and then type in occupational therapy, and you'd pull me right up. That's probably the best way to do it. My email is always a good way.
Okay.
But I've got a number right here. I'll just go down to here it is. It's 870-972-2274. And the faculty and I are getting very used to helping people find the right resource.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Tracy. You have been a blessing to the show. I want to give one quick announcement. There is a free Jonesboro Community Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow at St. Bernard's Auditorium, 505 East Washington, starting at 10:30 a.m. But if you would like to have a meal delivered to you, please call 932-7479. This information will be on the KLEK's Facebook page. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.